Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Amanda. I'm a disabled neurodivergent content creator. I have autism, ADHD, a rare memory disorder called SDAM, and global aphantasia, which means that I don't experience any of the senses in my mind. I have videos on all these topics, so make sure you check out my playlist and hit subscribe to make sure that you get more of my content. So today I want to talk about an autistic profile called PDA, Autism. It stands for Pathological Demand Avoidance. It's also being in the autistic community turned around to Pervasive Drive for Autonomy, as just to be a more affirming way than saying pathological demand avoidance. I like both actually. So I am pretty sure I fit the PDA profile of autism. And basically what it means is that, in very simplistic terms, and I'm still learning about it, but that anytime that I feel like there's a demand on me, whether it is from an external source or from even something that I want to do myself, my body will go into a fight or flight response and just either avoid, say no, shut down, whatever. There's, depending on what it is. And obviously this can cause a lot of issues in your life because there's just things that you need to do as an adult that feel like demands, but you just have to do them. So one thing that I've kind of been thinking about and noticing is, how was this PDA affecting my life before I got my diagnosis, before I had a word or language or label for it? And I think that a lot of it comes down to the autistic mask. I think I had this profile, but having masked autism, high functioning masked autism, and I've got some other videos. Sorry, I've got a hair on my nose. I have some other videos about what the Autism Mask means, but basically for undiagnosed autistic people, it is a survival tool that we use to get through life without having any idea that we were masking, that we were doing this, that we were not being true to ourselves. We were responding in a way that we thought we needed to respond to any given situation to survive that situation. So for me, a lot of that turned into a fawn response. I was a people pleaser, still am, but I'm working on that. One of my masks was be a good girl, put other people's comfort at the expense of your own. And I did these things as a way to feel like people would want me and include me. I learned that if you make yourself valuable to somebody, then they will want you to be around them. Now this is false, but it's what masked Amanda did as a way to try to socialize and make friends. So when somebody would ask me to do something, my mask, my internal desire would be to say no, or that's hard, or I can't, or I don't know how. But my masked version would say, yes, I'll figure it out. Let's do it. We'll make it work. I was always a we'll make it work girl. And I would use language like, I just have to push through. I have to force myself. These were words that were part of my daily language. Since getting a diagnosis and learning about the PDA profile of autism, I realize now that a lot of times when someone asks me something, now it's like I'm not wanting to people please. I want authentic friendships and relationships. And a lot of times it will feel like a demand, and I will have to either tell myself, okay, they're just asking, let's find out if this is something that we do want to do, or how can we make it work for both of us, compromise, these kinds of things. Sometimes though, especially for demands that I put on myself, those have been the most difficult. So for instance, I wanted to talk about this. So I started reading Unmasking Autism by Devon Price, and I would love to give you a full review, and hopefully I'm going to do more videos on this book, but I'm only a couple pages in because I want to read this book, and then all of a sudden it became a demand on my system. Like, I want to read it. Now I feel like I don't, it's like, my brain is telling me no. I carried this book around this house all weekend. I literally carried it from room to room. Like, okay, I'm going to read it. I'm going to read it for 5 minutes. And I would open it up. I would read a paragraph or two. And then it's like my brain would not let me focus on it. And I was so frustrated because like I want to do it, but the PDA just won't let me do it. And I made a TikTok about this earlier, yesterday actually, and someone stitched it. I think their account's called The Overthinkery, which I think is a really cute name. And she was explaining how for her PDA, what she's been working on is reminding herself the reasons why she wants to do something. So she is in physical therapy right now, and her physical therapist will give her homework. She wants to do them, but it feels like a demand because her physical therapist told her to do these things. And so it's like her body wants to go into, shut down, or like, no, not going to do these. But then she has to remind herself, and I'm paraphrasing what she said, but she says she has to remind herself that when she does her physical therapy, her body feels good. This is something that she does want for herself, and to think about the end results of doing the thing. And then that helps her follow through. And I can so relate to that. I want to read this book. It's got a lot of really good information in it already. Even, 10 pages in, I've related to so much. And I think that is one of the reasons why it's actually going to take me a long time to get through it, because almost every paragraph or, every half page that I've read so far, I've related so much that I'm having to stop and process everything that I've been reading. And the people pleasing. I'm pausing because I'm upset because I'm gonna just go ahead and put this in here. I already tried to film this video once, and my mic went out. It died. So now I'm filming it again without a mic, so the sound quality isn't going to be as good. And I'm trying to recapture the things that I said, which doesn't feel as authentic to me, because I like to just sit down and talk to y'all and process aloud with y'all. But these are things that I really wanted to say in this video, and I'm really angry that my mic died on me. I didn't know it wasn't charged, so I apologize for that. But anyway, so I'm not going to try to recreate what I did say before, because that just it's not going to work. So I'm just going to stop that and just kind of recreate authentically newly. So giving myself a refresh. I did want to talk about the Overthinkery's PDA video back to me. I thought that was really kind of her to stitch, because in my TikTok, I was explaining PDA and how I was frustrated at myself for not being able to read this book, and how it's just so frustrating when you want to do the thing and then your body perceives that as a demand and then won't let you. You're an autistic person with a PDA profile. Their demand for autonomy is so much that it sometimes can't even sort out where the demand is coming from. I've heard other people say that too, and it's just so real, so relatable. Okay, I want to read to you from the first page. Like I said, seriously, I'm not that far into the book. You can see my my bookmark is just, but I'm processing it because everything has been so good. So the first page, the first chapter is called Alienation, and I'm going to start in the middle of this paragraph. I didn't know how to approach people or initiate conversations, and I didn't care to learn because most of the interactions left me feeling irritated and unheard. The few relationships I did have were enmeshed. I took responsibility for other people's problems and tried to manage their emotions for them, and I lacked any capacity to say no to unreasonable requests. And that was like the people pleaser in me. It's like I just couldn't say no to people. I always was saying yes, yes, yes. We're going to force it. We're going to figure it out. And that, I think, is why I'm in so much burnout now, that after my diagnosis and having this realization that I've lived my life to people please and please others at the expense of my own happiness has just... I have been in... I mean, I've had some good weeks since my diagnosis, but I've just been in burnout. I spent 4 hours in bed yesterday, and that is not something I normally do. But I was so overstimulated and so burnt out that I couldn't do anything yesterday. I couldn't, everything was too bright. It almost felt like I was going to have a migraine, but I didn't actually have any pain. It was just everything was so bright, so loud, and I couldn't think. I was playing a mindless phone game. I wanted to watch TV. I couldn't even watch TV. That felt like too much of a demand. I was just sitting in a dark room for like 4 hours yesterday. The only thing that got me out of bed was the fact that I wanted to cook dinner for my family. Now, my family's very supportive, very understanding. They would have been like, Mom, just chill. We'll find something to eat. No big deal. But I wanted to get up and cook for them, even though that felt like a demand. I knew that like cooking for my family does make me happy, and they really appreciate the food that I make for them. So I got out of bed and cooked dinner. And then after I ate, and after having 4 hours of rest, I actually did feel more regulated, and my evening was pretty good. I didn't feel like the bright lights and loud noises bothering me as much. So sometimes our society tells us that we're being lazy, but autistic people need to find time in their day and their weeks to have these decompression times. Maybe it's not 4 hours, maybe it's 20 minutes, maybe it's an hour. But like my therapist this morning reminded me, you know, my brain is processing so much information so insanely fast that it has to have time to find ways to decompress. And finding ways to say no to people that are putting demands on you that you're only saying yes to people please. Now, if you want to help them and you want to do it, that's one thing. But like doing it just so that they will like you, we all know that's not a good thing. I just didn't know because of the Autism Mask. That's why I was saying yes to things. So and then he continues, I'm going to read a little bit more. I didn't know what I wanted out of life other than to become a professor. Now for me, I've had a lifelong desire to be a disability advocate. I haven't really known how to do that. And I've always been drawn to the disability community. I've always felt like I understood the disability community in a sort of like outsider looking in kind of way. I never realized I was part of the disability community. it makes so much sense growing up how much time and energy I've spent towards learning about different disabilities, about the social model of disability, medical model of disability, ADA rules. And so I don't know what that's going to look like. This channel is helping me fulfill that in a very small way, in, again, PDA, in the way that I'm capable of doing right now. I would love to be a louder, bigger voice in the disability advocacy space. Right now, this channel is how I can fulfill that need of myself out into the world. Sorry. I went to school for architecture, and it's just because that's what I fell into. Like, I was just going along the path that people provided for me. In 8th grade, the school counselors put me in an elective for yearbook. And I had fun. I liked yearbook. I didn't sign up for it. I think I signed up for ASL or something, but I didn't get that elective. I got yearbook, and it was fun. I enjoyed it. I really love graphic design. So for high school, I signed up for yearbook as a first choice and graphic design as a second choice elective. But those classes were full, and they put me in architecture class. And it was fun. I liked it was drafting is what the class was called. And because I don't like change, I just stayed in drafting for 4 years of high school, because they had 4 levels of it in my high school. And so after 4 years of drafting, it made sense to go to architecture school. My sophomore year of college, I talked to my counselor at school and said, I don't want to be an architect. But change was so scary. I'm like, I'm just going to stay in this major, okay? But I don't want to be an architect. And he was like, okay, that's weird, but whatever. So I got an architecture degree because that was like the path laid out for me. So he says, Dr. Price says, I hope I'm saying the right pronoun now that oh my gosh. Yes, his research. Okay, thank God. Devon Price. Okay. I didn't want family. I didn't have hobbies. And okay, I did want a family, and I do have lots of hobbies. But you know, we're not the same person. And I believed I was incapable of really being loved. This is something that I've struggled with my whole life. I've always struggled to feel like anybody wants to spend time or wants to actually authentically be with me. Other than, you know, my husband and my family, I've always felt like a burden, and that my friends just put up with me. That's just like, this is so real, guys. But I was getting good grades. See, I was doing the things in school like, oh yeah, okay, let's just follow along. And my intellect earned me lots of praise. So I just focused on those strengths. I pretended all the rest was a meaningless distraction. And that's what I would do. If something that I wanted didn't seem attainable, I just pretended I didn't want it. Like, I don't need that. That's not for me. So I do want to read this book. I will read this book. It's going to take me a while because almost every paragraph is so freaking relatable. And I'm going to have to process so much as I go along. Okay. Hopefully this video is as good as the one that I filmed with no sound. Thank you so much. April is Autism Acceptance Month, so please give this video a thumbs up. I'd like it to be seen by the algorithm. I want people who are autistic to hopefully find some relatableness to this. All autistic people are different, obviously, and if you are a family member of somebody or a friend who's somebody that has autism and you're just trying to understand them better, thank you so much for watching this. Because it is Autism Acceptance Month, and thank you for doing the work to learn how to accept us autistic people in your life if you are a family or friend. the autistic person. I'm going to say thank you on the behalf of the autistic person in your life for doing that. Whew, okay, until the next one, guys. Bye.